Good morning students, welcome to Shri Ram's IAS. In the absence of Utkarsh sir, I will be taking this Indian Express analysis. So let's start this Indian Express analysis with you all guys. So first news here is a very important news, important for your upcoming examination also and important for the newspapers also. There has been an earthquake in Myanmar killing 144 people and about 10 people in Thailand, and then some of them in the Bangkok region as well. 7.7 magnitude. Now this is a huge earthquake, can be compared to one of the earthquake which was there in the San Francisco in 1906. So what is important for us in this news is to understand where the epicenter was, how did this thing happen. So look at this, 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Right, epicenter was right at the center of Myanmar, Mandalay. Now we all know this is the Indian plate here which is moving northwards and rubbing with the Eurasian plate. So this is one of the reason why this earthquake happened here. Okay, and this also comes in the Alpide zone. We are going to study about Alpide zone as well. Now coming to this important slide here, you will understand what Alpide zone is all about. This is the Alpide zone. This is a high frequency region for earthquakes. After the Ring of Fire, Pacific Ring of Fire, where majority of the earthquakes take place, this is the second area where about 15% of all the earthquake takes place. 15% कहीं पर भी आ रहे हो, 15% तो यहीं आ जाते हैं सिर्फ जितने भी earthquakes हैं उनमें से. So if you see, this Myanmar region is on this Alpide zone here. The Indian plate is moving northward, striking or rubbing with the Eurasian plate, and hence because of that rubbing, one plate rubbing with the other plate causes some friction, causes some sort of strike, and the result is an earthquake. So that is what has happened in Myanmar. If you see the Ring of Fire, majority of the earthquake is because of the volcanic eruption, but here things are different. Because of the movement of the plate parallel to each other, this thing is caused earthquake. Going back to the slide, see a little bit about what is written about this particular thing. So, notable earthquake, if you see, it came in 1990 first, then in 1912, and then 2016. These are major ones. And there are more than 14 earthquake which has been witnessed, major earthquake which has been witnessed in Myanmar in the last 100 years. Now this is a great number as far as the earthquakes go, because it is not a daily phenomena. It happens once in a while, but the magnitudes are big and the earthquakes are strong. So this is a big news. So we all know Earth's lithosphere consists of moving tectonics. So here one plate is moving up, and sort of one plate goes to the right and the other plate goes to the left. There is no subduction zone created except at one region which we will see here. If you see this strike slip faulting, why does this happen? Because one plate is moving northwards and the other plate is either it is still or it is moving southward. So some sort of friction, something is created between these plates. That is what is strike slip faulting. That is the reason why earthquake has happened in this region of Myanmar. So I hope you have got the idea about this particular important news of why earthquakes happen, what is the cause of earthquake in Myanmar, the recent earthquake in Myanmar, because of the movement of the plates. The Indian plate is moving northward, the Eurasian plate is still there, and it is rubbing. Both of them are rubbing, which is causing the friction, which is causing the fault line, which is causing the earthquake. Now today we are going to see many other topics as well. There are 6 topics. One we have already seen about the earthquake. Second one would be Supreme Court relief to Imran Pratapgarhi. This is related to a very important case of freedom of speech. We are going to see this. And Nepal's unrest. Now everybody is moving towards democracy in the world, this country is moving back to monarchy. We are going to see what has happened in Nepal. Opposition versus speaker face off. In India, if you see, there is always a fight between the mics, which are usually off when the opposition leaders are speaking something. This is the allegations made by the opposition. So again, freedom of speech within the parliament, freedom of speech of the members of the parliament. This is another issue, we are going to see this. Tigers outside tiger reserve. So there are tiger reserves, but you know, tigers doesn't know that we have to remain inside the reserves. Tigers just go out, they move wherever they want. They are the kings, okay? Lion is the king, but tiger is also the king, isn't it? Powerful animal. So there are around 30% of the tiger outside the tiger zone. And so many things like human-animal conflict happens, poaching. So to stop all this, government has started a project, Tiger Outside Tiger Reserve. We'll see. National Judicial Appointment Commission. Again, it has came back in news because of the recent controversy of judicial misconduct by a judge of the Delhi High Court. We are going to see this news as well. So we have already seen the earthquake. The reason was the shifting of the plates, the movement of the plates. Now we are going to move forward to Pratapgarhi. Now, Congress member of parliament from Rajya Sabha, Imran, he has posted one poem on Instagram, and immediately police has arrested him. Police has filed a FIR against him just because the police thought that that particular thing was sort of inciting the violence, but that was not the case. See, a very beautiful thing has been said by the Supreme Court in this case. There are reasonable restrictions on the freedom of speech and expression of people. There can be many. One of them is about the obscenity and morality. Then the other one is the sovereignty of the country, defamation, security, law and order. There are many. But what about this? Disagreement. If majority of the people disagree with whatever you are posting or whatever you are expressing on social media or through newspapers, through book, through movies, then what? Disagreement is not a reasonable restriction. It is not a ground for reasonable restriction on the freedom of speech and expression. So if a person, does not matter whether the person is a member of parliament or not, posts something on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere, and majority of the people do not agree with it, that does not become the ground to take off that or remove that particular post. Disagreement is not the ground on which reasonable restrictions on freedom of speech and expression can be imposed. This is an important thing in this whole article, important for us to see. Now, the court emphasized that the literature, including poetry, drama, film, satire, art, enriches human life. There are many writers in Indian history who have wrote, such as Manto, whose work was considered as obscenity by many, but actually it was not. He was one of the writers who was pushing the limits of human thinking and tolerance in one or the other way. Now, if people disagree, in a democracy, if you see, people go with the majority view. Also, the governments go with the majority view. And whoever writes or expresses against the majority view, there are many oppositions. But just because of oppositions or just because of disagreement, if government starts to strike down all the material which have been posted on the social media, then it is bad, because disagreement is not a ground for reasonable restriction. I hope you understand this. Now, a criminal charge was filed against these sections of Bharatiya BNSS, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Samhita, but Supreme Court has stressed that there has to be a preliminary inquiry to be made in the case before framing any criminal charges. This is very important. A preliminary inquiry is must, and if no preliminary inquiry is made, that is akin to hurting the freedom of speech and expression of the person. I hope you have understood this. So court have said a good thing, that the court must jealously protect citizens' rights and not allow suppression of dissent. This is an important thing which you must understand from this particular news, that disagreement is not one of the ground on which freedom of expression can be curtailed. Okay, I hope you have got it. Now, what happened in this country, Nepal? People are again asking for monarchy. Gyanendra Shah. So, Shah dynasty was in rule from a long time in Nepal. In 1990s, there were protests against this Shah dynasty, and this protest also led to something else, that a elected government was also established. So the monarchy has to share power with this elected government. This went on. This happened in 1990. This went on. There was a tragedy which happened in the family, and people died because of a shootout by their own son, who was supposed to be the king in future. He also died. So his uncle Gyanendra Shah becomes the king. And when Gyanendra Shah becomes the king in 2005, he grabs the power. He dismisses the parliament, he dissolves the parliament, he puts all the politicians in the jail, and he grabs the power. He becomes the supreme commander of that country. Again, people came on the road, protests were there, and in 2008, the monarchy was abolished. First, he has to share power again with the people, with the elected government, and the monarchy was abolished. So this was a shift from monarchical system, a totally absolute monarchical system in the 1990s, to a constitutional monarchy. Okay, and from constitutional monarchy to the republican monarchy. But people want to go back to monarchy all over again. Some of them are even inclined towards constitutional monarchy again. Now, why this situation is happening in Nepal, it is important for us to understand. Democracy was an experiment in Nepal which has failed, in a way we can say. Although nothing fails forever, it's not a perpetual failure. But recently, if you have seen in past couple of years what has happened in Nepal, looking at its political and economic situation. Look at the political situation. Around 14 governments have been changed. It's a, one person comes in, becomes the prime minister, and the other person moves out. Then the next one comes and the next one moves out. This is happening, and 14 governments have been changed after 2008, when the monarchy was abolished in Nepal. So political stability is not there. And because of the lack of political stability, the country is suffering economically as well. Inflation is high, unemployment is high. The youth of that country are moving out of that country for job. 65,000 youth move out of Nepal every month. That is a huge number for a country whose population is 30 million. Out of those 30 million, think about the situation where young people of your country, 65,000 young people move out of the country every month because there is no opportunity of employment in that country. And that is because of the failure of political system or the stability in the political system. So because of this widespread suffering, people are thinking that it would be better if the monarchy comes in, because at least it would be stable government. But that's what people think. That is not necessarily what is going to happen. We have already seen that this person, Gyanendra Shah, who was the king, has grabbed the power, dismissing the parliament, wanted all the power for himself. Maybe he can do it again, and then it will be a circle of these revolutions happening in Nepal, again hurting its polity, its economy, its history. So this is what is happening. So there are clashes between the police and the supporters of Gyanendra. Ultimately, this movement has become a one major movement, central movement. Earlier, after the abolition of monarchy, after 2008, there were pockets from where this demand was coming to re-establish the monarchical system in Nepal. But now it is the central protest which has happened. Those pockets have came together and made a one huge protest in favor of the monarchical system again. And some of the political parties are also in favor of this. That is what is happening in Nepal. It's a very important development. Since Nepal is our neighbor, we should know about it. So government has responded. Government had responded in its own way, calling army, and all kind of protests are happening. There are public gatherings and demonstrations. So another important news now, opposition versus Speaker Faceoff. Silence on letter. Who switched off the mic? This is another controversy. The opposition is always alleging that the speaker switches off the mic when the opposition leader is speaking. And the speaker says that I do not have any switch on the chair here. I do not switch off any mic from here. Okay, so this is the controversy. What is important for us to understand here from the perspective of our examination is the difference between two important articles. We already know Article 19(1) gives freedom. There are 6 kind of freedom which is given. A, B, C, D. If you see freedom of speech and expression, association, assembly, movement throughout the country, residing and resettling in any part of the country. All these things are given. You can also establish a business of your choice, occupation of your choice. But there are also reasonable restrictions on these, starting from Article number 19, clause number 2, and so on and so forth. Now, Article number 19(1), clause A, gives freedom of speech and expression, and Article 19, clause 2 puts reasonable restriction on this freedom of speech and expression. Now, this is for common people. This is for all the people, rather, for all the citizens of India. But what about the parliamentarians? What about the member of parliament who are speaking when the session is in progress, in the Rajya Sabha, in the Lok Sabha? Their right of freedom of speech and expression is far more wider than the right given to the common people. That is very important because they are keeping the important aspects of governance, of polity, of law making, of policy making in front of the House. That is a law making body. So reasonable restrictions which are applied to freedom of speech and expression under Article 19, clause number 2 are not applied to member of parliaments. Now this immunity is given to them under Article 105. 105 gives immunity to the freedom of speech and expression to the member of parliaments. Similarly, Article 194 gives similar kind of immunity to the member of legislative assembly when they are speaking in their respective legislative assemblies. There is almost no reasonable restriction applied on their freedom of speech and expression, and the freedom of speech and expression within the parliament is quite big, quite huge. Whatever they speak inside the parliament remains inside the parliament. Although, see, it is aired, everybody can see and listen it, but no criminal charge can be initiated against anything said or done inside the parliament by a member of parliament. Although there are rules, there are procedures made by the parliament, but those rules and those procedures must not curtail the freedom of speech and expression given to the member of parliament under Article 105. So Article 105, subject to the provisions of the Constitution, to the rules and standing orders regulating the procedure of the parliament, there shall be freedom of speech in the parliament. So what it is trying to say is a simple thing, that you can make rules, you can make standing orders, but there shall be freedom of speech in the parliament, and these rules and the standing orders should be there to discipline the members, but should not curtail the freedom of speech and expression in the parliament. I hope you have understood this. Now look at the second clause, what it is saying. No member of parliament shall be liable to any proceedings in any court in respect of anything. Now this word anything, said or any vote given, this anything, these have wider connotations, wider implications. Anything involves many things. It can be speech, it can be some sort of expression through so many things. So it is a very, very wide expression. Anything said or any vote given by him in the parliament or any committee thereof. So member of parliaments are also the member of the committees. They go and speak in those committees, and at the same time they also vote in parliament and they also vote in the committees. Now if they are giving any vote, they must not be punished. There shall not be any proceedings in any court against them, because whatever they are doing in the parliament and in the committees of the parliament is immune. No person shall be so liable in respect of the publication by or under the authority of either house of parliament of any report. So if they are making any report, any paper, and if they are casting votes in the parliament or in the committee or proceedings, whatever charge has to be framed against them will be framed by the speaker or the chairman of the Lok Sabha, but not by any court. So in a way, if you see, again it is proving that the freedom of speech and expression of a member of parliament is far more wider than the common man. Now this freedom of speech and expression given under Article 105 remains with them only till the point when they are there in the parliament, when the parliament is in session. If parliament is on break and it's not in session, then this doesn't apply. If they speak outside the premises of the parliament, it doesn't apply. It only happens when the parliament is in session and they are inside the house speaking. Outside, if they speak anything, then reasonable restriction applies under Article 19, clause number 2. It's important for your prelims exam, it's important for your mains exam. Please remember this. The difference between Article 105 and Article 194 on one side versus Article 19(1) on the other side. This is always wider. Okay? I hope you got it. This is another thing we have discussed. Tigers outside tiger reserve. There are about 30% of the tigers who are outside the tiger reserves. There are many tiger reserves in India. There is also a map here for you to understand. See, so many are there. Every state of India, everywhere there is a tiger reserve. So Madhya Pradesh have so many of them, Maharashtra have many, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, almost every state have tiger reserves. But tigers are not limited to the tiger reserves. If this is the area of the tiger reserve, there are many who are roaming around in other areas as well. How many in number? About 30% are outside this tiger reserve and 70% are here. They can also ferry between these two areas frequently, and because of this, so many problems happen. Poaching is one of the problem. Then human-animal conflict. Sometimes villagers kill leopard. Sometimes leopard kills human beings. There are many deaths because of human-animal conflict. So government has came up with this important project. Let's see the provisions of it. The initiative developed by this Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change received in principle approval, and some money has been allotted to it for the year 2026 and 27. There are, you see, major habitat include the Shivalik Hills, Terai Plains, Central India, Highlands and Eastern and Western Ghats, Northeast Hills and Brahmaputra Plains and suburban Sundarbans. So now you can see this. See the Western Ghats, see this side, how populated it is, even in the central region. There are many tigers here. Thanks to the conservation projects which are there in India, now there are many tigers, but there are also other issues which are happening. So the challenges which are happening because of this particular situation, that 30% of the tigers are outside the tiger reserve, is turning into some challenges and concerns. Now what are these challenges and concerns? Human tiger conflicts are rising with 378 deaths recorded. As I told, sometimes a tiger is killed or a leopard is killed by the people. Sometimes the tiger or the leopard kills the human being. So there have been 378 deaths. Now these are of course human deaths. Between 2020 and 2024, Maharashtra reported the highest of 218 deaths. Poaching is another issue which is prominent because of this situation. Remains a major issue with tigers falling prey outside reserve due to monitoring gaps. So inside that particular area, there is vigilance. In this tiger reserve, there is vigilance. There are very less chances of poaching here. But what about the outside area? Outside, 30% of the population is roaming around outside, tiger population. So poaching is another major issue. Then tiger dispersal into human settlement is increasing conflict with co-predators like leopard. So a fight between leopard and tiger, or 2-3 leopards and 1 tiger. Anybody can get killed. Tiger is more muscular although, but things may go the other way also. So what this project is going to do, it will monitor tiger population outside tiger reserve. This is important information for you, what this project is going to do. It prevents poaching and protects tiger in vulnerable areas. So monitoring, preservation, protection, mitigate human-animal conflict to reduce livestock depredation and attack on humans. Reduction in human-animal conflict. It also engages local communities in conservation effort. Now this has always been an Indian style of conserving and protecting the wildlife, that the local communities which have been living in those areas from centuries have more knowledge about the conservation, about their own protection, about the protection of the animal as well. So they need to be included in any project which is made for conservation of tigers or elephants or anything, even for that matter flora and fauna both. So it's an important thing for you to understand. If you can also take a screenshot of this particular map if you want. I can erase this. It will be of great use to you in your examination. Yeah, you can take a screenshot of this also. This is an important map. It gives details of the tiger reserves in India, everywhere. Okay. So, Justice Verma again. Now, we should know 2 things, important things. Whenever a judicial misconduct happens, what are the ways in which the judiciary should respond? One way is impeachment. And the other way is the internal process which is developed by the Supreme Court through judgments, that is the in-house procedure. These are the 2 important things which happens. 2 important things through which the judiciary can respond. Now, this is very public in nature. This is very rigorous in nature. Also affects the dignity of the judiciary. And this one is more internal, more confidential. But what both of these processes are trying to achieve is same, that there shall be an inquiry first. In both the cases, inquiry is made. If the allegations are found to be frivolous, then the charges are dropped. If they are serious, then the procedure goes on. And then, in impeachment, it is the involvement of the parliament and the removal by the president after a resolution or a motion is backed by the member of parliament, so both the houses. But the in-house procedure is a bit different. Here a 3-member committee is created, 3-member committee consisting of chief justices of 2 high courts and 1 more other judge who inquires into the matter. And then this confidential report goes to the Chief Justice of India. And then Chief Justice of India decides whether the allegations made against the judge are serious or not. And if they are serious, the Chief Justice of India requests the judge to resign immediately, and no judicial work is given to that judge. If the judge refuses to resign, then the Chief Justice of India writes to the President of India to initiate the proceedings of impeachment. So in-house procedure also leads to impeachment if the judge is not agreeing with it. Okay, I hope you have understood the in-house procedure. A preliminary inquiry is made by the judge of a high court, Chief Justice of the High Court. Okay, it's an informal kind of inquiry. Then he reports to the Chief Justice of India, who constitutes this 3-member committee, and this 3-member committee inquires and investigates into all the allegations, submits the report to the CGI. If the allegations made are serious, that report, then on the basis of that report, the Chief Justice of India asks the particular judge against whom allegations are made to resign, and if he does not resign, then the CGI writes to the President to initiate the proceedings of impeachment. I hope you are getting this. So this is what is in-house procedure. This is an internal mechanism of the courts. But here, in this matter, one more debate has came up. National Judicial Appointment Commission, it was an important amendment made to the Constitution, 99th Amendment, which was then again declared invalid, was sort of declared unconstitutional on the basis of the basic structure doctrine, which is still evolving. It was said by the judiciary that any kind of curtailment of the independence of judiciary will not be promoted, and they considered the National Judicial Appointment Commission as a footstep inside, a footstep of the parliament and the executive inside the domains of the judiciary, which was not acceptable to the judiciary. And that is the reason why they have declared the 99th Amendment Act, National Judicial Appointment Commission, as unconstitutional. But this debate is again up. Now, let's read a little bit about National Judicial Appointment Commission. What was it? It consisted of 6 members. Now, out of the 6 members, if you see, 3 of them were judges. Okay, and rest of the 3, one was the union minister, and the remaining 2 were the people from civil societies who were to be appointed by a committee, and this committee was consisting of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, and Chief Justice of India. Now, if you see in this National Judicial Appointment Commission, all the organs of the government have some or the other say. Judiciary have the say. Here, you see, Chief Justice of India is also in the appointing committee. The executive also have some say because of the union minister here and the Prime Minister. Parliament also have some say because of the leader of opposition present in the committee, and also the Prime Minister, because of the parliamentary system of government in India. Prime Minister, other executive comes out or is originating from the legislature itself. So, involvement of all the 3 organs of the government is present. This was some of the middle path It was what Dr. Ambedkar said in the Constituent Assembly when the debate about appointment of the judges was debated. He said giving this job only to the judges will be harmful, will not be good. There has to be some middle path which needs to be taken. And this was one of the middle path which was sort of not liked by the judiciary. On the other hand, judiciary depends on collegium system. Collegium. If we see this system till 1981, it was the president who used to appoint a judge on the consultation made by the Chief Justice of India. Now that consultation which was made by the Chief Justice of India to the President of India was not binding. It was not concurrence. But in 1993, in one of the case, the Supreme Court has made that consultation as concurrence. Means the consultation made by the advice given by the Chief Justice of India about the appointment of a judge to the President is binding on the President. Consultation has become concurrence. The Chief Justice of India has to concur. The Chief Justice of India, if giving any advice, then the President of India has to accept. It is binding on the President. This happened in 1993. And a 3-member committee was constituted that was called as Collegium. Chief Justice of India was also the member of that. And they used to recommend the names to the President, which became binding on the President to appoint. In 1998, this Collegium system, which was a 3-member committee, has become a 5-member committee. This happened in 1998. So this is how this system has evolved and is evolving. But then in 2014, National Judicial Appointment Commission came. And this National Judicial Appointment Commission tried to change the way judges are appointed to the Supreme Court and High Court in India by making an elaborate system consisting of 6 members. So this debate has also came up because of what has happened in this scenario of Justice Verma. So I hope you are getting the whole debate. It is about how a judge can be removed. So you have an in-house procedure, at the same time you have impeachment. This is constitutional, mentioned in the Constitution under Article 124 and 217 for the High Court judges. But this one is not mentioned in the Constitution. This is an in-house procedure established by Supreme Court through several judgments. Okay, I hope you are getting this point. We have covered all the things which are important from the perspective of the examination in this. I hope you are satisfied with today's analysis. In the absence of Utkarsh sir, I am Mayank Bharadwaj, who has taken this analysis. Thank you very much for joining me and hope to meet you next time. Jai Hind.